Welcome to the program. Just another day during a pandemic where we are starting to see the implications of Memorial Day, essentially. A little more than 2 weeks ago, rises in infections and in hospitalizations. States like Arizona, Texas is now starting to get a little worried. Also, Oklahoma and Oregon, California. In fact, it's rising in about 16 states across the country significantly, and of course, picking up the pace. Now, the interesting dynamic that's going on here is that while we have seen a rise in infections and a nearly commensurate rise, in hospitalizations, we have seen nowhere near the rise in deaths that we saw, let's say, in New York City. And there's speculation only at this point because people don't know for sure. Obviously, we don't have time to get we don't have enough hindsight yet to get the data, but it appears to be because the average age for people being infected is significantly lower than it was in New York. Probably represents 20 and 30-year-olds going to bars, frankly, in many cases in places like Arizona and Texas, and following the or during Memorial Day and subsequent to that as well. Part of it also may be a function of just the hospitals, the doctors treating patients have more savvy now than they did 2 or 3 months ago because of the experience that people had 2 or 3 months ago. Obviously, theoretically, we're getting better at treating people who have contracted the virus. And there may be some other, some medicines and therapies that are working better as well. So it's a combination of those things. However, we will, I think, see a rise there, and hopefully it won't be nearly as steep as the infection rate will be. And hopefully we do not get to a place, and I suspect it's possible that in localized situations in some of these states, we may get to a place where the capacity to treat people essentially runs out, where there's just, only so many beds. We mentioned yesterday that DeSantis in Florida decided to stop reporting number of ICU patients and report only those patients that need critical care. ICU is intensive care. I guess maybe there's a slight difference. I don't know. But it's going up. It's not going to go away. And hopefully there isn't I don't know. I guess the big question is what happens if it really expands at a rate faster than it was in New York amongst younger people? At one point, does that start to cross a threshold? I guess we will see, because there does not seem to be any type of plan whatsoever to deal with any of this. The only thing it appears that the White House is doing is they are starting to game out a situation where they blame the CDC. So there it is. Donald Trump is very angry these days, apparently, because he embarrassed himself the other day in Oklahoma. And we're starting to see these stories about how he's really mad at Brad Parscale, who is the campaign manager for the Trump campaign. I suspect these are, it may in fact be the case, but I suspect that he's not going anywhere because he's basically overseeing a slush fund. And you don't necessarily want the guy who's been signing checks on the slush fund to be cut loose, particularly this early.
Parcell was the one that Trump wanted to sue for giving him bad poll results about a month ago.
Hmm. I wonder if you can actually, if that's actionable.